I just saw a guy say that if he has to apply pressure to be with you, he's out. And a lot of these dating coaches who are women need to stop telling women that the guy is, gotta be persistent. The guy is right. A healthy woman will not play or put up with games, nor will a healthy man. A healthy man, if you tell him no, he accepts it and he moves on because he's mature enough to accept rejection and he understands that everything isn't for him. He respects women. So if you say, I'm not interested, you're not interested. And before I get the comments, I understand that your psychopathic husband chased you around the neighborhood with a chainsaw and you guys have been happily married for the last 20 years. I love that for you, Becky. But for the most part, a mature, grown-ass man is going to take your word. You're not interested, he's going to leave you alone. If you are interested, he's going to proceed to pursue you. Grown folks also communicate with each other clearly. They don't think that you can just read each other's minds, and I'm not talking about, over time you learn how somebody likes their coffee, how they like their eggs cooked, how they like their steaks, stuff like that. But I'm talking about grown folks know how to communicate with each other. They're not sitting around playing the silent treatment and you assuming that you know how I feel. They're going to have those difficult conversations. Hey, I didn't like what you said earlier. What was that? And the other person's going to be like, oh, my bad, I had something on my mind. Or you know what? I had an attitude because I didn't like what you said. Yeah, they're going to have that conversation back and forth, and it's not going to result in name calling and a knockout, drag out fight. That might have been cute when you were younger, maybe even in your early 20s, but after a certain age, there's no yelling and screaming and hitting below the belt. When your brain has fully formed, and I've heard different licensed medical professionals say different things. Some say 26. I've heard people even say 28. I've heard 30 if you have ADHD. So I'm going to have some grace. After the age of 30, if y'all are still screaming and throwing plates, there's something going on. Maybe you don't need a divorce. Maybe you don't need to break up. Maybe you need to go to therapy. If the other person is willing to go and willing to actively do the work to make things better. I'm not new to this. Some of you might see me as new because you just stumbled upon my channel over the last several months, but I've been talking about this stuff for a while now, and I have talked to a lot of women over the years, grown ass women who tell me, not just their partner doing immature ass shit, but when they tell me the stuff that they do, I'm like, both of y'all are batshit crazy. Grown folks know how to communicate. They have boundaries. They don't just say what their boundaries are. They uphold them. Hey, I told you I don't put up with name calling, so this ain't gonna work out. They don't. Well, maybe it was just a misunderstanding. No, you heard what I said, and you chose not to respect me. So now there's a consequence to that. That's something else that we need to talk about. Grown folks, when they say don't do this, and you do it anyway, they respect themselves enough to stop fucking with you. One thing about grown folks is we're not desperate. Okay, we're not going to make excuses for you. We're not going to handhold you. Either you heard me and you respect me because I'm going to respect you, or we're not dealing with each other. A lot of people think that just because they have been together for X amount of years or they are a certain age, that automatically by default makes them mature mentally. And it does not. I've seen some 50, 60, 70-year-olds act like they're still in high school. I'll never forget, this was when I was much younger. There was this guy that was interested in me, and I call myself playing games and, trying to put up this hard to get thing. And, he reached out once. And I said, I'm not interested. He reached out one last time and he was like, okay, I'm done. I never heard from that man again. And I was interested in him. And I really liked him. But I learned the valuable lesson, even then, in my pick-me era, that good men don't do that shit. I know I tell us as women that we don't put up with that shit. Good men they don't either. Once they sense that you are not mentally and emotionally mature, they don't have time for that. And I'm not saying that you got to be perfect and have it all together. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm sure somebody just stopped listening and probably commented that already. But for those of you who are still here, first of all, thank you. And I love you. You and I are besties. But everybody says that relationships are successful because you know how to communicate. People say that until they're blue in the face, but not many people know what healthy communication actually looks like. Not many people are willing to do the work within themselves to get to a point where they can communicate their feelings and get feedback. So it's best you work on yourself and get yourself together, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to touch your hand and look into your eyes while I say this. A lot of you here claim that you want a good man. Where are all the good men at? And you wouldn't be able to handle one if you got one, because you have not done the work to get yourself to a healthy place mentally and emotionally. How many of y'all are still my friend after that?